Hello and welcome back to the wonderful Beartooth Hill Bike Park in Planet Coaster. In this video we will be expanding a lot on the wooden roller coaster which we built last episode, and I'm really happy with how that turned out, and I'm even more happy with what we get done in this episode. It came together just like I wanted and I'm really happy to show you it today. I will also reveal the name that we've gone for in this video, and I think it's a really good name, so hopefully you'll stick around to see what the name for the coaster is. But just now we are building a building at the bottom of this hill. You did see me place the foundations for this right at the end of last episode, and yeah, this is just another useful building that would give it more of a resort status, so it's just got more going on. I thought this was important. It's just going to be a general shop where you can get items for your bike, maybe a bike pump or something to pump up your tyres if you get a flat tyre. They probably would sell Mars bars and crisps, whatever you need. So yeah, it's just general useful store to have, and you do get these at bike parks, so I thought it would be important to have just a simple place which would sell you lots of different items. For this building I'm going for the exact same style that we have gone for in the rest of the park, but you can see that I have scrapped the custom roofs now. They just took up way too many pieces, and I am getting a bit worried that the park piece count will be up too much and it will start to get really laggy. And I don't have the greatest computer, so filming cinematics I've got to make sure that it looks smooth. Also, if it's laggy, it's going to be a problem for you guys when you check out the park, and for myself for building it, so lag's just never a good thing, and I think you can all see why I'm taking the effort away from building the custom roof so that I can put it into other things and keep the piece count down. Speaking of piece count, I do something later on which will use lots of pieces, and maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I just wanted to, so. But I guess if I did that as well as the custom roofs, then it would have only got worse, but we'll see. But yeah, you will see what it is that takes up so many pieces later on. But we are more or less finished with that building now. I think it's just some more shrubbery and rocks to decorate around it. But yeah, now we are on to the wooden coaster again. I'm just decorating the catwalk up this lift hill. I thought it looked a bit bare, the fact that there wasn't much going on at the sides. So I just decided to put a bit of depth to it, putting these wooden planks and these poles which almost act as wires, maybe to offer a little bit more support. From wooden coaster POVs, they do often have extra bits attached to these fences on the side of the catwalk. But you are now watching me furiously attempt to attach an entrance to this station, and the game just did not want me to. You can see that it's all obstructed, so this ride will not actually be able to open, which is fine because guests can't do the bike trails in the game anyway, so I don't think it's a problem. I think it's because I've done so much building around it and the fact that the train comes through it a lot, so because of that, for some reason it's obstructed me putting the entrance fence gate thing, whatever you want to call it. It's stopping me from putting that onto the station building, so it doesn't let me, and it was really weird. I think the whole station shouldn't be allowed, because if I move it up and then put it back down, it says it's obstructed even though it's in the exact same place it was before. So yeah, it's just a fault with the game, not much I can do about it. But we have been building the base for this whole station building. It is looking very simple at the moment, you know, just building a mask that prepares me for what I want to do for decorating it. We're just building the ride operator a little cab, because I don't want to go for the Planet Coaster metal plastic type of feel. I want it to be that more rustic wooden feel so that it fits the theme. But here we had to put some of our own fencing in to separate the station from the path, from the queue path, and we also attach a small chain to this little pole here so that somebody working at the park could close off the station if there's too many people in it and they don't want more people to walk into the station. A little door there for realism, so this will be access to the backstage area. Of course, here is a transfer track, and I'm just making a catwalk for the transfer track because whilst it's moving it would clearly be unsafe for people to be stood there, so there's a place where people can stand, not just any people, park workers, they can stand there whilst it's all moving across so that they will be safe. So yeah, I'm just slowly adding to it, expanding on it bit by bit. But now you will see me place a roller coaster in, and no, this is not going to be an actual roller coaster. I'm just using this to stop the generation of supports at this point. You know, if you want to turn off supports for the roller coaster, they all go. So I just want them to disappear at a certain level. So yeah, it's just the realism so that park workers can walk under the structure without being obstructed by all of these supports. So we are now working on the exit path. This does come down these stairs and then turns right, so guests can be off and do some bike trails or go to the Alpine Coaster, whatever they want to do. Just then you saw me place some wooden planks along the side of this wall. That was just so that I could get these steps going down at the right angle so that it was regular, so that they weren't too wonky. And shortly we will copy that path across so that the entrance path also goes up alongside it. We just put in some bits of fencing in, but there you go, you can see me duplicating those stairs. Obviously I don't need to do it twice. And yeah, the walls are going in the same, it's very similar. But at this point in the time-lapse, everything is pretty self-explanatory. I don't really need to explain what it is, so I guess I will talk about another topic. It'll still be related to this, unlike some of the other things I talk about, but I need your suggestions on what to do next. After this wooden coaster, I've literally got no ideas at all of what I'm going to do next. And of course, if you want part 8 to come quickly, then leave your suggestions. There is this wide open space in front of this station which I've not worked on at all. Would you like to see some flat rides in there? Maybe not flat rides because they take up too much space and it might not fit the Alpine feel for the park, but it's up to you. Obviously there'll be more bike trails and things like that, but leave suggestions on what to do, because I think there are some brilliant opportunities with what I'm building, but I just haven't thought of them yet. So if you have got good ideas, then please leave them in the comments, because I don't want this to just go downhill from now on. Obviously with that working on a slope, that could be taken literally, but I mean the series as a whole, I don't want it to get boring. I want some new ideas, some fresh building work to do. But by now you've probably got the idea of what I'm looking for, so yeah, I don't think I need to rant about that any longer. If it is a rant, is it a rant? Anyway, yeah, you've seen the classic haunted beams going in there. They are some of my favourite pieces to use. They just give buildings more depth and detail, make them look better, and we are duplicating them again to support this further roof structure. I thought it would be quite cool having a gap coming out the side instead of just a typical wooden building, but I wanted to have the bits at the side sort of solid so that they've got some interior, and that's just where the roller coaster comes flying through. But then I do like this feel of a big open building, so you can see lots of it. But here you can just see me placing some various Theme Maker Toolkit items to make it look a bit more detailed. It was quite hard to fill in this building, to be honest, with it being so open. But yeah, I'm just putting some hooks for the bags of the ride operator, and then these fans come in also from the Theme Maker Toolkit item. It was very open and I wanted something to fill it in, and fans would be a realistic thing that I could see. I don't think they would need them, to be honest, because the building would have lots of drafts as the coaster comes through, but just because it looked good I placed them there. And yeah, a couple more wooden beams, but we are now placing another roof structure above the transfer track. I thought it would be good to have some protection of that, and then I thought it would look odd only having it above the transfer track, so I put it above this part of the roller coaster as well, and I think it looks good. From the brake run especially, you can see the depth of this building, and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, we are back to the entrance and exit paths. I'm just putting some of this fencing in to make sure that guests don't fall off. That seems pretty stupid, but you know, it could happen. And then there's some roofing going in, just making it look detailed. I don't want it to be that simple. And I think later on with all the trees around it, it looks really nice. But I duplicate this building for both. I think the fact that they are very similar looks good. They fit together really well. They are parallel to each other. They don't take up much space, which is a good thing. because a park like this would want to have as much space possible left over for other things. And here we are putting some wooden planks just to decorate the side of these roofs. I thought they did look a bit empty without them, so I thought it would be a good thing to put some more detail. You can never have enough detail, so you know, I'm just going for it again. And now we will head back to the small backstage area, putting some fences of course to stop park guests from entering that area. I really like this backstage area because I think it nestles into the terrain really well. It fits very nicely with the ride. It doesn't take up much space. Again, this is a very compact coaster, which is why the track follows back on itself a lot. And speaking of terrain, the other side doesn't need much fences at all because the terrain blocks it mostly. It acts as a natural barrier, which is really cool. But this building here was inspired from the Old Faithful Inn at Yellowstone National Park, which I visited a few years ago. It's a really cool place, but there's no coasters. But yes, the Old Faithful Inn of course is right next to the famous Old Faithful geyser, which is one of the most well-known geysers in the world. But this building had lots of overhanging roofs, of course, to stop snow from coming down onto these balconies that stick out of some of the walls. Obviously this roof doesn't protect this balcony very well, but I didn't think it was that necessary. So yeah, that was a really cool place, and that inspired me a lot to make this building. The Old Faithful Inn is very old. I think it has been renovated on multiple occasions. This is not as old as the Old Faithful Inn. Obviously, the Old Faithful Inn was probably much older than the oldest roller coasters. But yeah, I thought I would just give you a little bit of insight to where my inspiration for this building came from. But we are building a bit of an additional queue area. You did see me put some of these fencing, some of the chains to cut off this section of the queue. On quiet days they won't have to use it, so you can just go straight up the stairs and into the final queue section. But on busy days of course you would then go through this small cattle pen, which hides just underneath the front of the building. I also did it because I thought that the big tall walls looked a bit odd on their own, like it makes it look more like a prison, so yeah, just makes the building look a lot nicer. But I am now making a cutout for a bear. As you can see, the billboard is on the floor, and I'm using some of these beam pieces, which are the smallest pieces in the game, to decorate this sign and basically copy it out so that I get my own bear sign. And this was going to be very nice to have as the sign of the ride. And yeah, you can see a big jump in the time lapse there. It took me a couple of hours to make that bear, but I think it looks really good when it's done. And of course the name for the ride is Grizzly Run. This was suggested by Theme Park LB, who funnily enough is the person I'm collaborating with on my other Planet Coaster series. But I thought the name was very fitting. Obviously it includes the bear, which is basically the mascot for the park. And then I just put that sign on the front of the building, and I think it looks really nice. It really adds those finishing touches to that building. But now, just like we have been doing in the rest of the series, I've got to do some of this landscaping. This is very generic. It doesn't really go for any specific area. I'm just going for the entire nature style for the entire park. First placing these alpine rocks, and then we move on to some bushes, whether it's forest bushes or creosote bushes. Yeah, we just place all of those in, and then we follow on with the trees. I don't think I show all of this in the time lapse because, you know, you've already seen me do it before. It's not the most exciting thing to watch, but I think it does really add to the realism of the whole area. And with all the trees around, I think this roller coaster looks really good. But yes, we are now coming up to the end of this video. I hope you have all enjoyed. If you have, please remember to leave a like, and of course comment any suggestions for what you would like to see me do with the rest of this park. But thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.